guys, thanks for listening today. I am Yessie.
I'm Priscilla.
I'm Shelby.
And we are
Nana's Hangout.
Woo!
We're sitting down to talk about growing up, leaving home, and surviving your 20s with someone that means the world to me and has helped me grow up. And it's my old roommate, Shelby Coleman.
Ooh, welcome.
Hi. As you know, I'm Priscilla's friend of about 10 years now. I feel like we're about to have like our anniversary. But I currently work at a vet hospital, so I'm around doggies and kitties all day, and I do lashes on the sides.
I think that we should start this with a moment in which you realized you were an adult or that you were becoming an adult. For me, I started to learn about adult things when I was 13 after we had moved from Mexico to here, the US. And I was in charge of enrolling my brother to school. And later on, more things were being added on to my box of knowledge. And I would say that I actually felt like an adult after I felt some sort of relief after I was done with my taxes. And one of the things that I also have learned to fall in love with is cooking, especially if it's for myself, and just kind of make a whole day or night out of it. For you, Shelves?
So I feel like one of the things that I've really grown to learn like over the years is just like really being true to yourself and not changing for other people. And I've realized just over the last like 2 years maybe that like just trusting, you know, what you think your goal is in life and just like going after that and not, you know, don't change your route because of someone else's opinion. I think is like really something I've learned.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yeah.
We first need to acknowledge the privilege of not having to mature too quickly. A lot of us grow up very fast, very quick. Childhood adultification, like it happens to poor families, immigrant families. With that being said, I feel like my innocence was short-lived because I'm the oldest out of 3 daughters. And so when my parents came to the US, they had a language barrier, so I had to translate for them. I had to interpret like letters from the bank. And so that's something that a child shouldn't do, but that was my initiation to adulting. Like as soon as I learned English, like bam, here you go. All this like vocabulary that is so tough, and then if I mess up, it's like
On you.
on me. It's on me. And all the medical stuff too, like that was tough. But it's a story that is shared among many people, low income, immigrant families, like I said, and that's just reality. We can then move on to sharing a story of how you decided to leave the nest and embrace adulthood.
I have left the nest twice. Or the first time that I moved out was when I was 18, but it was only for a few months. I moved back in with my family within 3 months, and then I moved out again for a year, maybe a little bit over that, with Shelby. Back when I was like 21. Both of the times that I moved out, I was looking for growth and independence. Coming from a Jehovah's Witness household and a Latino household, my grandparents and my mom, they were very strict and overprotective, but with good intentions. I obviously though didn't understand that at the time, and I couldn't have a lot of experiences that I would have liked to have. And for a while, I definitely resented them. But the second time that I moved out, though, I think it was much better. The way that I went about it, I think, was better as well. I wasn't, I guess, scared to do it. I was more excited. Both of the times that I moved out, my relationship with my parents, it got better. Because I think that they just understood that I'm not a bad kid and that I do have goals.
And that you have those morals that they taught you,
Exactly.
know? Like you have
That
the
they can-
foundation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think they learned that they can trust me.
What about you, Shelby?
So I would say for me, when I decided to leave the nest, it wasn't a big surprise to my family. They knew it was coming. They saw it coming. So my mom lived about 30 miles from where I was about to start a new job as a lash technician. And I just needed somewhere to be, you know, a lot closer to where I was working at. And so for a while I was living with Priscilla and living with, you know, other friends, and then my boyfriend at the time. And so, you know, I kind of slowly but surely made my way out of the house, and it wasn't a big rush. It was something that, you know, I was able to take my time on doing. So I really had like a lot of support in my family and being able to do that. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah. Now I live by myself with 2 crazy cats, but
Oh, I love that. For me, okay, so I think in very traditional Latino families, there's a way for women to leave home without being seen as like something else, something negative. So it would be like Señora Virgen de Blanco, which means like virgin, leaving the nest in like a white dress. That's just not me. Like, I'm not ready to get married. I wasn't gonna let a man save me. So I chose education, and I poured my heart into it. And then I moved out when I was 18 for college to another bubble. But I still moved out. And I moved out to like a different state, which was really, really tough. Looking back, I really admire the courage and dedication that 18-year-old had.
It sounds like your parents were maybe just as strict as mine, or maybe in a different way.
Yes.
What were your parents' reactions when you moved? I literally moved out within 6 minutes away from them.
Oh,
yes. So for you,
to another state.
yes,
Oh, my
and you
goodness.
moved out to a whole new state.
Okay.
So what was the
story
reaction?
time? Story
Yes.
time. So it took me about 2 years to persuade my parents. They were like, but U of H is down the street. Like UHD is down the street, because I'm from Houston, by the way. And I was like, no. I refused to go. Well, they're great schools, but I knew I wanted to like leave. Just because I didn't want my mom to show up at my doorstep like every 5 minutes. I really needed that distance. And so I honestly think that they thought I was crazy, that they doubted me. They were like, no, it's not gonna happen. And then when I actually did it, they were like, holy crap, like, you're not going. What are you thinking? But I went to an all women's college, like traditional women's college. And so that was easier for them to digest. And I was going to go either way. Like, I was going to get on the plane either way. So at the end, they were like, okay, I guess she's going to college for free, basically. So might as well let her, you know? When I actually left, my parents, like, were really sad. I think they were more sad because they couldn't go with me. Because of their immigration status and everything, it was way too risky to cross all those states. I don't blame them though, because when I did move to Dallas, they were there for me. What about you, Prissy? Like, what were your parents' reaction when you were moving out, even though it was only 6 minutes? Like, yeah.
Well, the first time, my mom did not take it well. Like, I would say that my mom and I have gone along throughout my whole life for the most part, but she used to always like have to have it her way. You know, however she said it, when she said it was the right way. Following like what my mom or what my family like say, like their rules makes them feel love. So to me, like not doing that was hard, because, you know, I was kind of trained to follow the rules and to do as I was told. First time, I don't know how to say caprichosa.
Stubborn in a way.
Maybe. And that's how she kind of sounded to me. Maybe she wasn't being that way. First time, it wasn't the best. And the second time, I would say...
But you still did it.
Yes, I did it. And honestly, like, I guess it took her, like, the last day that I was there at the apartment. And she was like... I had a dream with one of your little cousins, like one of my youngest cousins. And she was like, God is speaking... through that dream that like I should let you go, and like, you know, I trust you and I support you. And then, like I said, the last day she kind of came around after giving me the silent treatment.
Yes.
Like I said, after the first time that I moved out, I learned a lot, and my relationship with her, with my parents in general, got just so much better, because again, I think that they saw that like I didn't move out to party and be wild or anything.
Yeah, because I think that's the greatest fear for parents. They fear that you're going to get pregnant, that you're going to jeopardize your future. But they need to have a little bit more trust
in themselves, because like trust that you've raised me the right way, trust that you've, like you said, with the right values and with the right morals. And it took a while, but they came around. And the second time, it hurt in a different way, because we gotten closer. When I told my mom, she was like, oh, okay, I mean, I understand. but are you not happy, or why are you leaving? And so I was like, no, like that, I'm not leaving because I'm not happy. I just want to do it because I'm excited to do it. I want to grow. I want to make that step, and I want to make sure that I can rely for myself and look after myself. But I don't regret it at all. I'm glad that I did it. I think I did it at the perfect timing as well.
What about you, Shelby? How did your parents take it?
So, I mean, they were definitely worried, being they started a family, maybe not intentionally, when they were about 17, 18 years old. So, you know, for me moving out around, like, I would say, like 19, 20?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
They, you know, saw me a little bit more mature than they were at that age, but they still, you know, were seeing how young they were and how difficult it was for them to be living on their own, while also raising, you know, first my brother and then me 3 years later. It was a lot for them to experience at that young of an age. And so I think they really worried about that for me, you know, being on my own. But it was a good thing that I didn't move out because I was pregnant or because I was getting married, or, you know, something that maybe is not the ideal scenario for, you know, parents to be letting their kids go at that time, at that age.
Yeah.
But I would say I had like a really good support system as far as, you know, checking in all the time. Do you need anything? What can we help with? And, you know, so I had that good backing. And of course, your family was you know, they were willing to do whatever for me and my family for her. So, I mean, we just.
That is so sweet.
I think having that double support system
it takes
made
a village.
it even. Yeah, it really does.
And I think because of that support that they were showing, like, do you think that make it harder for you to leave the nest? Like, did you feel guilty after leaving home and seeking independence?
I don't think that guilt maybe is the right word for what I felt, but I definitely think, you know, leaving my mom was hard because she lives by herself, and of course I had to leave my Shiba, which is my Mastiff that I have, and you know, so it was hard leaving in those terms. But I think my mom really did set me up in a very good way of teaching me so many things, you know, at such a young age, and knowing that I had a solid base to be able to move out and to be able to be successful with myself and, you know, wherever I may be once they've let me, you know, leave the nest. So I think I had a good support system. Yeah.
What about you, Prissy? Did you had any feelings of guilt?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I feel guilty a little bit because I didn't feel guilty. You know, like, especially the first time, I was, like, kind of enjoying it that I'm not gonna do, I was enjoying it, you know, like.
You had that freedom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, I guess I had what I had been wanting and searching for and yearning for so long that, like, you know, from going to what am I gonna do with my day today, and like I can just come in and go as I please, like, really,
you don't
like
have to ask anyone.
Yeah, like I can go get gas, I can do these simple things without having to ask for permission. Yeah. But I definitely felt bad because my youngest brother, he's 12. So I missed him. I felt bad that I was missing out on, like, seeing him grow. And I feel like he looks up to me in a way. And I just love him so much, you know? I felt bad that I couldn't see him. And I felt bad because I didn't leave in the way that they wanted me to. Yeah. I felt like a bad daughter. But I think that the time that I had in solitude and time that I had to grow while I moved out, it helped me see that. And it helped me, like, just understand them better and understand myself better as well. So, but I definitely felt guilty. Yes. And you?
Constantly, even to this day, I constantly think about moving back to Houston to be closer to my family. And that's because in my culture, caring for elders is like tradition, right? It's common for parents to live with their children even after their children are already married and with children, to have the mother-in-law live with them. And so while I don't want that to be my story, I do have this like obligation to support them at least financially, just because I know they don't have like the social security, or they don't have retirement or anything like that. Like a few months ago, I had a conversation with my dad, and he was like, Yessie, we were there. We survived. Like before you, it was just your mom and I. And before your mom and I, it was me going through the world by myself without speaking the language, without having like money. They survived. And so he reminded me of their strength. Sometimes I see them as like, oh my gosh, they're just getting older and weaker. But no, they are very strong people. That's where I find my strength from them. And so I try not to feel guilty and see it as in like an honor to assist them financially, at least in a way, however they need to. But it's a tough one, because yes, I want to live my own life, but then there's like, I know they're gonna like need my help in the end. And so also like once they get older, like how is that gonna look? Like I don't know, and I don't have the answers right now. But I also try to remind myself that other people have done it, so I can do it too. Like there's many like first generation people, Latinos, daughters who have done it, so I can also do it. So I just try to remind myself that I'm not alone, and then when the time comes, like I'll be prepared.
Like one of the benefits that came from like moving out, is like, you know, what you just said, that your dad reminded you like, hey, like at some point it was just us. And I think that like me moving out, like it made my parents think that way as well, because I feel like I had to translate, you know, so many
They
things
relied
for them.
on you for a few things.
Exactly. Which, you know, understandably, like out of like all of us, I started going to school, I started to learn, so, and it just made sense that I started to interpret things for them. And when I moved out, it made my parents start using Google Translate into, you know, like for them to actually try and put themselves out there. And that's one of the things that like I also felt kind of bad for, but also in a way I also feel grateful that it happened, because they became that way, and they became better. That like now they just ask me for like fewer things, but they've grown as well as people,
right.
And to live here and kind of let go of that whole identity of like just living the way that they do in Mexico. So you had mentioned about moving, when you move out, you know, you want to give your kids the tools to move out and like give them that support system that we wished we could have had. How do you stay organized? How do you make sure that you're keeping up with your priorities?
That's a good question. I think the golden rule is to know that as adults, we have the freedom to make our own choices, and we bear the responsibilities of the consequences of those choices, right? So I think establishing a routine, establishing a foundation is the number one thing you need to do as an adult when you're moving out. Because without it, I became disorganized and I struggled to feel creative. And so even though routines can be really tough, like, and you only want freedom and you just want to party, make your own choices, like just remember that routine does give you the foundation for that freedom. So there's different tools out there. There's digital systems. There's like your planner. I think for me, I use a combination of both, but definitely there's a lot of resources out there online, YouTube, TikTok, that offer like really excellent organization like templates. So research what's best for you, but never forget that your choices have consequences. So if you don't like clean your bathroom, then it's gonna be stinky for like a whole week. If you don't wash the dishes, it's gonna like become a mess, you know? So every choice has a consequence. What about you, Shelby? I'm curious to know.
I think for me, it that is a really good question, because I feel like I've been shown so many different techniques of organization over the years. But for me, like, I'm very, just naturally very scatterbrained, like naturally just like can't stick to like a solid routine. But I think I definitely have like my own routines of what I do, whenever I get home, where do I place my things, and where do I feel like I kind of just clean as I go along. I don't really, dedicate certain times to just clean the whole apartment. I kind of go as I, clean as I go. But I think for life things, I work as a receptionist personally. So, I mean, I think for me, it's a little easier because I see, people miss their appointments, or, I see the disorganization out of just, some other, the clients that we see. So I think for me, it definitely has helped me over the last year of working as a receptionist, of seeing, just little tips and tricks of things to do throughout the day to remind myself. And sticky notes, little Post-it notes are like my best friends. So, I mean, I think just little things like that have definitely helped me, stay organized throughout my day and things. So,
well, I just want to say that sometimes a messy room, it's okay. It happens. Don't be so hard on yourself. Part of self-care can also be like, no, today I'm not going to clean.
Honestly, I have told her that I think you have an organized mess.
Yeah,
like,
very much so.
Because if you ask her, where is this? Oh, it's going to be in my purse on the third little pocket on the right side. Like, oh, okay. And not just with that, with everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I feel with the Post-it notes, like me personally, I don't know what I would do without my planner. I like to, I guess, plan my weeks, and I like to see how my week is going to look like, to kind of be like, okay, how many times a week should I work out? Do I get to hang out with friends this week, or do I need to like spend more time in solitude, Mm-hmm. And my planner, I also like to spread my must. So I guess the things that I must get done in that week.
Your taxes.
Yeah, exactly. I got them done. And thanks to my planner. And I also like to add other little things that I would like to get done that maybe is not prioritized. Like, oh, if I did my laundry this week, that would be nice. Mm-hmm. And I also like to use the reminders app in your iPhone or your phone, and I like to ask myself questions. So sort of like, have you finished your homework, or have you done this?
That's a good one.
Like that.
Yeah.
So it's not just like telling you like do your homework, like do this.
Exactly.
Like, have you done this?
Exactly. Or if I like to put in things in there that I think I may forget. So if you tell me something like, oh, we should go to a dinner within a month, and we decided today, a month from now, I put it in there, and I like to put within there to get reminded 2 weeks prior. That way I know like that something is coming up or something. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here with I love it.
She's
All the
little tips and
tools.
tricks.
Yeah. I'm like,
Maybe
just
make your
YouTube
life
it, Google
easier.
it, guys. I don't know. That's so funny. But what about budgeting?
Thankfully right now I'm living with my parents, so I still pay bills, but not as much as I used to pay, like whenever we lived or when I had moved out with Shelby. So I think that we should start with you. How do you like currently, that you don't have any roommates, you live by yourself.
Right.
How do you like budget yourself?
So I feel like for me personally, I definitely consider my rent and my main bills first. So typically I'm splitting my, of course, my 2 paychecks throughout the month. Yes. But my first paycheck of the month definitely goes towards majority of those bills. And then, of course, I have outside expensive. I have spending money. I love makeup. I love hair stuff. So that's, all the things. So I really, I try to keep between like $100 to $200 for me to be able to go and, spend money on those things. So I can kind of splurge sometimes if I haven't used all that money from previous months and things. So.
Same. I like to split my paycheck as well. And for rent, like I guess, or my bigger bills, with those paychecks, I like to take from both of them to cover the bigger bills. And then from that, I also leave money aside for like spending money as well. Because life is not just about work, you know? How I like to see it is I work to live, I don't live to work. So it's nice to splurge on ourselves. But with the difference, like with the spending money, if I have, let's say, I don't know, like $200 or $300 to spend in the month, I divide that by weeks. So that way I know, like, oh, okay, I can spend about $50 or so a week, like on like anything, whatever I want.
Yeah.
And for you?
Pretty much the same. I do want to say that budgeting is highly personal, and what one person values may be different from what another values. So if you prioritize travel and new experiences, then obviously a big chunk of money is going to go to that. And if you prioritize, I don't know, organic food and going to Central Market and Whole Foods, then your money is going to be spent on that, right? So I think at the end of the day, it's crucial not to try to impress people, or especially with social media, you know, everybody has the latest, I don't know, clothes and whatever. Like, figure out what you're passionate about, what is important to you, and then divide your money like that.
I've seen a lot of things on TikTok too.
Yes.
TikTok helps a lot with like little just budgeting tips, or like, I don't know, I see trends go by so quickly, and like keeping up with those trends is literally going to drain your pockets.
It is.
Don't,
It is.
Don't try to keep up with the trends on TikTok.
Yeah.
It's, you know.
It's not worth it at all.
Well, it sounds like we've learned from experience, you know, how to budget and stuff. And how, like, in what other ways other than budgeting do you feel like you've grown thanks to moving out, like thanks to being independent as a young adult? Because we're still adulting, I feel like.
Yeah, no, I'm 25. How old are you, PC?
I'm 23.
And you, Shelly?
I'm about to be 23 in a month.
Cannot wait for that birthday party.
I'm excited.
So, I really resonate to what you said about trends. Like, I'm not trying to be someone else. I'm trying to stay true to myself, and I think that's a really hard lesson. Yeah. So self-acceptance has been one. I look back and I reflect on my 25 years of life, and like, wow. Like, we have done so much. Moving out, getting your first apartment, getting your first car, whether it's finishing college or like finding those jobs, learning new skills. Look at everything you've accomplished, and that means something, you know? And it just gives me hope for everything else that is about to come.
For yourself?
I definitely have to agree with, you know, a lot of the last part of what you were saying, as far as like just, you know, kind of growing within yourself and like being okay with yourself. And, you know, I've really come to know over the years of just, you're living your own life, and not, you know, there's not a single person that's going to be living your exact life. So it's going to be curated to you. And I think a lot of people, you know, with TikTok being so big now, I think a lot of people are just very kind of one-tracked mind, or they
lost their personality.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think just so many TikTok trends and things like that has really, what I've seen in just my little sister, for instance, you know, just seeing younger kids than us being formed into such a certain way. But I think just being unique and, you know, having your own personality and just being yourself is the most important thing to becoming you. And, you know, you can't be anybody else.
For me, something that I've learned, or something that I've gotten better with, is that, like, I used to think when I was younger that, like, any bad situation, any like negative feeling or emotion, or if I was going through a rachita, I used to think that would last forever, and I couldn't see, I guess, the other side of it. And now I feel like I'm able to ask myself, like, what is the situation trying to teach me? What am I learning from this? Like, as life has gone by, I used to think that if something didn't go as planned, that it was wrong.
Yes, because movies, like media, they show
Exactly.
like all the good, you know? So whenever something bad is happening to you, you're like, wait, what is going on? You know,
Exactly.
like adulting is like very romanticized in a way.
Is there something that right now, like, you guys are working on improving on with the knowledge that you've accumulated from being a teen to the age, like how old we are now?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like for me, growing up, it has just always been, you know, go, 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 and things need to be done right now. And as soon as you think of something, it has to be done right then and there. So I think, you know, just really taking your time and being patient with not only yourself, but, you know, people around you, or even at work or driving to work. And I think just being patient with those around you, and you learn a lot when you're patient, or, you know, take the scenic route if you if you can.
Stop to smell the roses.
Yeah.
Yes. I think for me, I'm focusing on improving my relationship with my parents. When I moved out, I kind of left them behind in a way. You know, they didn't get to know the adult that I was becoming. So when I go back home, I feel like, oh, wait, this is not my home. It is my home, but it's technically their home. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like I'm stuck being 16, learning how can we see eye to eye? How can I enforce my independence? How can I enforce my like adulthood in a way with them? We said this before, like actions do speak louder than words. So I do believe that I have shown them that I'm not a bad kid.
Yeah.
Like what we said, I want them to be at peace with the fact that I can pick myself up if something bad happens. And little by little, our communication is getting stronger. But like every time I go back home, the weekend or whatever, for Christmas, it is a clash. It is a battle. And so learning how to like enforce my independence, but at the same time, like respect their home, because that's their home. So yeah, that's something that I'm working on.
I think when it comes to respecting their home, I used to not want to understand like what it meant respecting their home. You know, I used to think that they weren't trying to understand.
They were just being controlling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wasn't seeing the other side of it. And I think that's something that I'm improving now, is sort of that my relationship with my parents has gotten like much better, and I feel like now I kind of can see the other side of them and sort of like, okay, they're not talking to me in this way because they are mad at me. That's just, they're angry right now, like at this situation, and just taking it out at me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I used to not be able to see that. My mindset has changed.
Because at the end of the day, our parents are human.
They, you know, they may be older than us and they raised us, but they're still learning every day. They've only lived this life one life, and they're still figuring things out.
Yes.
You know, they're still learning from their parents if they're still around, God willing.
Just like us, our parents are still learning, and not just our parents, even our grandparents, and people in general. Like, we're all growing in different ways at different rates, and glad that I can see that now and understand that now, because it may make me sound selfish, but I feel like before I left the nest, even the first time, I kind of thought that the world revolved around me. Yeah, I hope that doesn't make me sound bad, but you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Yes. And understand that, like, yeah, just people grow at different rates.
It's their first time being parents as well.
Exactly.
Reflecting on your journey, what guidance would you offer your younger self about pursuing independence?
Like I said before, take your time. Things don't need to be rushed. You don't need to be out of the house as soon as you turn 18. You don't have to have a boyfriend all the time. Just have your friends and save your money. Don't spend it on crazy little things. And I think having a good support system, a genuine support system, is really good to have, especially at a young age when you're becoming an adult and when you're, in high school and picking the right friends. And 10 years later, you realize that you've picked the right friends to stick around. And or
you made new ones along the way.
Exactly, absolutely, and meet new friends along the way. But I think just being open to is really huge, and definitely something I would have told myself growing up and
Yes.
becoming independent.
I do resonate with that a lot about like not having a boyfriend all the time. Don't wait for marriage or a man to save you. Do it on your own. Pursue your independence now if you have the means to. If you are feeling that itch, do it. I know sometimes like people come from different households. Some of the households can be like very toxic, or some of them can be very caring. There's like a wide spectrum. But I think at the end of the day, embrace it. It's a journey of self-discovery and identity formation. You know, you're only gonna know yourself once you only have yourself and you only live with yourself. Everyone deserves to have the freedom to live their life on their own terms. Adulting is the greatest adventure ever.
Yes.
So just go for it.
I was just kidding when I said that, like, revolved around me.
Just clarification.
Yes. But, like, with that being said, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, moving out definitely made me ask myself hard questions, like, what do I want out of life? How do I want to be perceived? It helped me see life differently. Like, again, before even the first time I moved out, I thought that a bad decision, or if I didn't go to college right after high school, that my life would, you know, that I would be a failure, or that life would be bad. Thanks to moving out, like, I was able to see life in a different way and to ask these hard, uncomfortable questions that just helped me grow and helped me become who I am now. And I'm still asking myself these hard questions, and sometimes the answers might change, and that's okay, because, you know, we're learning, and something that we think of like right now could change tomorrow. You know, so I would say to give yourself, you know, compassion every day, and it's okay to not know like how life is going, and to not have a plan, because I still don't have a plan.
It's more common than not, you know.
Exactly.
We're still figuring it out. Like,
Yeah.
am I gonna stay with my job forever? I don't know. Am I gonna move
exactly.
cities? I don't know. So it's an adventure, like I said, and your journey is not gonna look the same as other people.
Yeah.
Which is what Shelby
Absolutely.
said. You know, like it's all different. It's all very individual.
Well, thank you so much, you guys, for listening, for clicking on this podcast, on this video. I hope that you heard something that you needed to hear today. I hope that you leave with something insightful, something that might have touched you. I can't wait to see you
Yeah.
soon.
Thank you, Shelby.
Of course. Thank
Yes.
you guys.
Bye.
Bye.